your video feed. Hang on.
All right. You back? You look great.
How do I get you up on my screen? Hang on, let me go back to email.
Take your time.
All right. All right, there you are. You're just in a browser window. Okay.
Okay. Just making sure it's on Facebook. Hey, Karen, how's it going? And hello to Michigan.
It's on YouTube. It just popped up.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I do not see the chat. Do I see the chat somewhere?
You should. There should be a spot.
Yeah, it should say comments on the right-hand side.
But I don't. Yeah, Andrew would be more help than me.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, I see it. Got it.
And so I can pop them up like this onto the screen so that we can.
No, I can see it. Good.
Okay, good. Cool. Very good. But it's interesting. I'm not seeing. Are you seeing it on Facebook, Andrew?
Let me check here. Yeah. Nope,
there it is. I got it.
You got it now?
Yeah, I see it now.
Oh, mine just reloaded. It's up now.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you, and thank you so much for coming on, man. This is. I've been, kind of following you around as I started my Mai-Kai adventure, and your name comes up a lot.
Good, I hope. Good, in a good way.
Yes,
I'm not that stalker.
I'm trying to think. I think maybe it might have been on Spike's video where I saw you first doing the photo areas.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We did 16 spots to take a photo. We could probably add another 6 after that.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I guess technically I have another light. Well, I don't want to waste any time. Let's get going because I've got so much to say. What's up, Caleb? How's it going, buddy? All right. Hey, guys, and welcome to the But Mostly Disney podcast. As always, I'm Tater, and my friend on the other end from Charleston, South Carolina, Andrew Milan.
Aloha, everybody.
Who I'm going to... Oh, I love that. I should have said aloha. Darn it. Why didn't I think of that? And I'm going to front load real quick that Andrew has a new video up rather than ask him at the end. So
yes,
out of the way, new video, head over there and check it out at Mouse Gears. And tonight, and this is exactly why I named this channel, But Mostly Disney. Even though technically my guest tonight fits the bill for both, we have with us, and if you haven't seen my new video on the Mai-Kai, it is, I mean, it races Disney neck and neck for my happy place. I do have other interests besides Disney, believe it or not. But with us tonight is Mai-Kai historian Hurricane Hayward.
Aloha.
Aloha. And so grab your cocktails and settle in.
Mai-Kai cocktail.
Because this one could last a while. Because Hurricane,
it's a funny story. The reason they make these cocktails so big at the Mai-Kai, have you ever wondered? It's for the show, so you can sit for an hour and watch the show without having to reorder every time. So there is a purpose.
Okay, because I was looking at the floats and I was like, "Them things are huge, man."
Right. Well, Jim, why don't you start us off and tell us, a little bit about yourself and your background, and then maybe an introduction into what the Mai-Kai is for people who don't know.
Okay, cool. I'll try to give you this short and sweet. I do have some Disney in my background, so I'll hit on that too, because I know your listeners and viewers like to delve deep into Disney. I grew up on the East Coast from Jersey. We vacationed in Florida. My grandparents were in Florida, so my parents took me to Disney World in 1972. So at age 11, I'm dating myself, I remember vividly going to the Magic Kingdom in December of 72. We went to Haunted Mansion. I remember the monorail you name it. It was like the highlight of my years during those years. So put that in my back pocket because I never made it back for a long while. We moved to Florida as a teenager. You know, when you're a teenager, you don't really care much about Disney anymore. At least I didn't, and I moved on with my life. Throughout my early years, 20s, 30s, we'd visit on occasion. I went to Hollywood Studios when it opened. We hung out at other theme parks, but I didn't give it much thought in the grand scheme of things until I got into my mid-years, I guess, and met my wife. We got married in 2010, and we honeymooned at Disney World. She was a big Disney fan. She moderated one of the early Disney message boards that's sadly no longer around, RIP message boards.
Right.
And she turned me on to Disney, and I turned her on to Tiki. I got into the Polynesian pop culture, I guess, you know, early 2000s. There was a lot of things going on in that realm. We can talk about it a little later if you want.
Sure.
But the Mai-Kai was right in my backyard. Everyone told me, you got to go to the Mai-Kai. It's the Mecca. And it is. So I went there in early 2000s, and I've been going back regularly ever since. And we were married there. So my wife and I got married at the Mai-Kai. The next day, we're driving to Disney for our honeymoon at Port Orleans, French Quarter. So actually, it was Riverside, sorry. But yeah, we balance both. We have a balance of Disney and Tiki in our life, which is good. I like it.
Absolutely.
I love it. You're going to fit in really, really well here. Because it's similar to my story. I mean, that was the thing, is I did Disney as a kid, and then it kind of disappeared until around 2004 for me. And I lived in Florida. I lived in Jacksonville, and then Miami, and then Daytona and Key West, but didn't go to Disney at all. And then it kind of came back and found me later on.
I'm fortunately or unfortunately close enough to the Mai-Kai to go whenever I want. It's about 16 miles away, so I do that a lot. Disney's a different story. You have to spend the night. It's a 3 or 4 hour drive, but I'm not complaining.
Right.
We're in South Florida. And just a little more information to make this all make sense is I'm a journalist by trade. I've worked in Florida newspapers my whole life. Went to journalism school at the University of Florida. Graduated in '83. Worked around all over Florida for 40 years in the newspaper business. So I'm trained in journalism. So that led me to create my blog, which is called The Atomic Grog. Thanks for the plug there.
Yeah.
And that launched in 2011. And my goal was to cover a lot of different things in South Florida and Tiki in general. Tiki encompasses a lot of things to a lot of people. And then I covered a lot of Disney in my early days too. I made sure I covered Disney. And then the Mai-Kai kind of took over my consciousness, especially when it closed. And when it closed, I was close to retirement from the newspaper. So I retired and put all my energies into basically covering the restoration of the Mai-Kai. So when you go to my blog now, you can find a lot of coverage of what was happening on the ground. You know, they were doing a lot of work during those 4 years they were closed. And I got to know everybody really well. And I've, haven't stopped. I'm still covering it very much detail. So
yeah, and it's weird. So that's how I found it, right? So Tiki's very new to me in some ways. So like all three of us are wearing Hawaiian shirts, but I had my grandfather's that he got in Hawaii in probably 1965, and it was and I don't know where it is. I've lost it, but I remember having that shirt, and it just spoke to me, right? And then we had a restaurant here where I live in Virginia called the Blue Hawaii, and it was very much a diluted version of what the Mai-Kai is. No show, as I recall, but I think it did have an indoor volcano. And then there was a place in Key West that unfortunately only I went to called Paco's Hukilau. And it's a shame because they had great food, and it really was a cool spot with fun drinks. And then we have a little tiki bar not far from me. We have a big Filipino population in where I live, like right around my house. And so it was a Filipino restaurant. They've kept the Filipino food, and I as I've learned from Tiki culture, how important the Filipino culture was to bringing Tiki culture. I mean, there's a fascinating history, and we're going to get all into it. I'm foaming at the mouth to talk about all of it. And as we know, with no script, the show just kind of goes where it goes. But I'm strolling through Facebook one day, and my Tiki experience was limited to Trader Sam's and these couple other places in my life, right? And the Polynesian is my most favorite resort and it fits right in. But as I'm scrolling through Facebook one day, I come across this Mai-Kai thing, and maybe I'd like something, about Tiki or something, I don't know. And that led me down, I mean, days and days of a rabbit hole of going back and then finding out what the Mai-Kai was. And then that led me to Tiki, and then Tiki culture, and then Tiki rules, because there's different rules about what you can have in an authentic Tiki bar. And that's how I found Hurricane Jim. He emailed me today. He said, I'd like to go by. He's like, oh, you're already Hurricane. You don't have to worry about that at all. Hurricane.
You've had a couple of gyms on lately, so no more gyms.
That's exactly true. And so once I found the Mai-Kai, and then I started watching, I mean, kind of like, I don't know if Tiki has levels of how you participate, but kind of advanced level, like lamp making videos. And I'm watching an hour of somebody making a Tiki lamp, I mean, and I'm fascinated, right? Like I'm all in. Send it to my kids. You got to watch this. This is incredible. And then, foaming at the mouth, waiting for it to open. And we go to Key West every year and we drive. And so I'm like, we are planning our trip around the Mai-Kai. That was last year. And once I walked in those doors, and it's, I mean, you talk about like Bali High or the sirens calling you. I mean, it is so interesting, and there's so many things. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you pull in, there's these wooden bridges off of one that lead you in, and they rumble. And when the first time I came in, I thought I was doing something wrong. And then you realize that's it, man. That's the gate. And once you're across that bridge, you're in you are no longer in Fort Lauderdale, right? You are in a whole nother world.
Yeah, that bridge was designed specifically to take you across the threshold. It's basically Imagineering. It's something Disney would do. It's sort of like, it sets the stage for what you're about to experience, and it looks and sounds authentic. And there's another backstory too. This is another similarity to Disney. They have these backstories, and there's a story that says the rumbling is supposed to sound like thunder when you're in the bar. So when you're in that bar with the windows and the rain coming down the windows, I urge everyone to watch Tater's video, by the way, to see what we're talking about. You can hear the thunder and the rain at the same time. So that's cool. The level of detail they went into. Yeah.
And look, and as much as I appreciate the plug for the video, there are much better videos on the Mai-Kai than mine. And there's some really, because the history is so neat. And just, okay, so just to set the stage, if you haven't been there, you pull in, and I'm going to give a real quick, like, broad stroke of what the place is like, and then let you really tell everyone what's going on there. So you drive in, valet, you park your car. There's a volcano in the parking lot with a waterfall. Then they have this gorgeous outdoor bar, and that's new, right? That was not there before. Is that correct? This beautiful outdoor bar, which was really cool. When we were there a couple weeks ago, they were having like this Tahitian celebration. So the fellow who MCs the show, and I've forgotten his name now, his mom worked there. But I talked to him for a little bit afterwards, and he said we were lucky because it wasn't the normal show. So we got I'm getting ahead of myself, but outside, local hula classes did an exhibition for us. So we got to see them dance outside. Excuse me. Then we went inside. You got the Molokai bar, which is where Jim's talking about the rain effect, where it's always like a hurricane blowing in there. Live music, great bar. The Mai-Kai girls and their outfits, they're spectacular. It's incredible customer service. And then you have a gift shop, which is insane. And then the show floor, and then behind the stage and behind what's more seating if you don't want to see the show, but I guess after a while, maybe you could go do that. But the show is so important. Behind that, some of the most beautiful gardens I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's a 4 to 5 hour experience for me when we're there. I mean, I could just sit all day, and I don't drink anymore. So even that all of this is built around this Don the Beachcomber rum culture. I don't drink, and I love it. I love it there. Right. So, and it's family friendly, right? Too. I mean, the kids love it. Everyone loves it. So that's kind of what this seems like 2.5 acres of Tiki is. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the history and again, about how we almost lost it in a way, right? And the damage and where it is now.
Well, I think you kind of started us off earlier talking about the places that are no longer here. they were
Mhm.
in the mid century, last century's mid century. There were a lot of Polynesian restaurants all over the country. It was a huge fad. I wouldn't call it a fad. I hate it when they call it a craze either. No
Right.
one was crazy. It was just a fantastic
Well,
trend in
I'm sorry, I didn't
not
know
only,
this. My buddy Ken Bruce, who wrote a book about the Tiki Room,
yeah,
in that book, I didn't realize this, that at one point in not time, Polynesian music was the #1 radio station
yeah,
in America. That's crazy.
yeah. If you go back to the 1920s, if you need to really go back, that's where it all started with Hawaiian culture. We discovered Hawaii, fascinated with Polynesian music. Then it took over the movies. There were movies about Polynesia in the early years of the movie industry. And then Don the Beachcomber came in and he started decorating the movie sets with authentic Polynesian decor that he picked up on his travels. So this is all intertwined with movies and music. And now the bars and restaurants get involved, and they take that same sensibility and they're using movie techniques and movie cinematography to create an environment that is totally immersive. Does that sound familiar to Disney people? This is before Disneyland. So this started way before that. And Walt Disney was a huge fan. Walt used to go to Hawaii. Walt would go to Polynesian restaurants. So there's a huge Disney connection there. That's why Walt insisted on having the Polynesian Village Resort when Disney World opened. He was such a huge Tiki fan, and that's where the Tiki Room came from. Of course, that's a great book. I have to pick that up.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's very good.
Ken Bruce's book. So right around the same time, the Mai-Kai was created, 1956. 2 years after Disneyland, the Mai-Kai comes on the scene. It wasn't quite as big as it is now, but the basic structure was there, the basic building, a lot of the theming, and the original family, the Thornton brothers, Bob and Jack from Chicago, they picked up on everything. They took from Don the Beachcomber. They borrowed a lot of different techniques, and the new owner, Bill Fuller, calls them the original Imagineers. He says the Thornton brothers had the forethought to create this space. They didn't know it would be around for 70 years, but they were on a lonely road that nobody was on, but it's all built up now. But luckily they created it in such a way that there's sight lines, so you can't see the outside world. You're just swept away into this Polynesian paradise. It was built, I think, for $250,000 back in '56. And
Wow.
the first year alone, it grossed $1 million its first year. It was the highest grossing restaurant in the country. And it kind of set the standard. There were a lot of Tiki restaurants like that. There were several in South Florida, one in Hallandale. There was one in Miami called the Luau that my wife went to when she was young. There were a lot of these places, and they one by one in the 70s and 80s, well, starting in the 60s, but Tiki culture kind of peaked in the 60s. There was a lot of it like too much. There was just too much of it, I think, in one aspect. But then it also became just so mainstream. You know, you had Hawaii Five-0 and Hawaiian Eye and Hawaii everywhere. So I think people kind of got sick of it at a certain point, and it kind of fell off as a trend. And the Mai-Kai survived. A lot of places went away. There's a few surviving that are older than the Mai-Kai around the country, but the Mai-Kai family kept it the same way. They didn't change anything. They didn't try to keep up with the times in any way. So it's sort of like a time capsule. So they did a huge refurbishment in 1970, which kind of created the footprint we see today. They added a whole lot of new stuff, but that was the last update from 1970 till 2020 when the roof collapsed, and it was horrible. It was a storm. It wasn't necessarily a tropical storm. It was just a crap ton of rain. It rained all day and all night, and they had a misfunctioning system where the sprinklers were running at the same time the rain was coming, so it kind of just flooded the roof and made it collapse. But it was catastrophic. It was that 1970s kitchen, and it was 50 years old at that point, and they had to gut the whole kitchen. And that was, $1 million project, a multi-million-dollar project. They couldn't afford to do it right away, so they ended up partnering with a new owner, and the new owner is a historic preservationist who specializes in historic properties, and he had a great love of the Mai-Kai. So he and his partners and investors put $20 million into the restoration to bring it back to what you see today. And they not only brought it back, they brought it to the next level. They added new things like the volcano you're talking about. It's a caldera. They call it a caldera. It's spouting water, like water shoots up out of it, and it has sound and water and total theming. It's a totally immersive experience, and you just can't can't imagine it, back in the 50s or 60s, but there were other places like this. We're lucky to have it basically still around, and hopefully for generations to come.
Yeah, it's and I said this in the video, and Hurricane brought it up. It out Disney's Disney, in my opinion. And I love Disney, and maybe and Jim corrected me. Maybe he's right. Maybe it's out Disney's original Disney or current Disney. But I mean, the place is so well imagineered. It's unbelievable. And there's not one. I mean, the gift shop has more detail than other entire restaurants and places. I mean, even some places in Disney. You walk through the gift shop, you do buy stuff because they have cool stuff in there. But I mean, the carvings on the wall, and now the window to the bar, which is really cool, right?
Right.
And that was a big
I saw
secret.
your video. Yeah, you mentioned that in your video. The gift shop was actually a dining room. That's why it's so spectacular. It was built as a dining room, and the theming in there, it's an upscale Asian theme. So it's supposed to be an ornate dining room in Bangkok. It was called the Bangkok Room, and it was a private room that we'd go in for dinner from most of the 1970s. And then I think the recession kind of caused them to close the old gift shop, and they moved the gift shop into that dining room. So the gift shop it's been there since the late 70s, but it's a spectacular space. And here's some more Imagineering things. That gift shop is also the same theme as the ladies' restroom.
Yeah.
Not many of us have seen the ladies' restroom, but ask your wife or your daughters.
It's funny. Andrew brings up, my mom said the doors in the bathroom are beautiful. That's what I mean, literally, we didn't pay him to say that. He brought that up on his own.
The gift shop looks like it's themed to the ladies' bathroom, and the men's room is themed to the Mai-Kai bar, all nautical, like you're on a ship.
Mm-hmm.
So each restroom has its own theme, but it's linked to the adjacent part of the restaurant, which is, that's another kind of thing that Disney does a lot of, but who was thinking of this, 30, 40, 50 years ago, building restaurants? They also just added a new handicapped restroom. If you ever get a chance to peek in there, it's totally new, but Imagineered to look like you're in the back of a ship. You're in the captain's quarters, and it's very upscale with gold fixtures, and it's very cool.
And the place is jamming. I mean, look, we've been there twice in the summer. It's been busy. We made our reservations early. Last time we went, we made them late, and we were off to the side. There's not a bad seat in the house. There's really not. And I don't know enough to know the rooms. This time we were kind of front and center, but on the raised part, which might be Tonga. Is that wrong?
Yes. Yeah, you had great seats from what I could tell.
Yeah, so it was wonderful. And the show, and the thing is like, I don't know, like everything I've seen about Tiki, and I am a total neophyte, right? So please correct me in the comments, or Hurricane, please you tell me if I'm wrong. Like it's very reverent, but it seems to me that they really take care of the Polynesian culture there. Like I feel like people are sharing something with me while I'm there, and they're thrilled to do it.
Right, exactly. Not to bash any other tiki bars. There's a lot of great tiki bars, but many of them are just homages or tributes, or, there's no real connection to Polynesia. The Mai-Kai is obviously a huge difference because the original owner married a Tahitian woman, and her whole family ended up in the restaurant. When he died, they took over, and was a Polynesian run restaurant for decades and decades. And she's the one who choreographed the original show in 1962. And now it's the longest running authentic South Sea stage show in the world, basically. It's been around for longer than any other authentic show. So they put a lot into the authenticity, and, other places can't do that. It's hard to do that. But being in South Florida, there's a lot of Tahitian culture, as you saw with the dancers and the on stage, and the special events they did in July is all a tribute to Tahitian culture. And the Orlando scene kind of plays into that too. There's always been a big Tahitian and Polynesian culture in South Florida, which kind of feeds into all this. They work at these restaurants and resorts. The Polynesian resort opened, brought a lot of people from Hawaii and elsewhere. And the Spirit of Aloha show brought a lot of Polynesians to Central Florida. And you ended up with shows at SeaWorld and at other resorts and at other places. So now there's this huge Polynesian culture in in Central and South Florida. There's a show called Polynesian Fire in Orlando and in Daytona Beach that's worth going to check out as well.
Oh, I need to put that in my notes.
So there's that. That's a big differentiator, but there's other things that kind of make Tiki authentic or not authentic, but a lot of it's a reverence for the culture. And then there's a lot of other things, the style, the look, the feel. You don't want too many. They don't like a lot of the purists. I don't agree with them on everything. For instance, they don't like parrots or birds. They don't think those belong in a tiki bar. However, what about the tiki room? It's like,
Right.
if it's done right, and if you go to the Mai-Kai next time, you were sitting in Tonga, you probably didn't look. Did you look up to your left and right? If way up in the rafters in the Tonga room are tiki birds. They're in little cages that look
I didn't even notice.
They look a lot like the tiki room, and that room was built in 1970, which is before Disney World even opened. So there's speculation on, well, were they inspired by the Enchanted Tiki Room and put those birds up in the rafters at the Mai-Kai? There's even these rumors you hear about how possibly Walt Disney came to the Mai-Kai. There's no proof he did. What happened is the Mai-Kai was being built in the mid-50s, right around the same time that Walt was doing these reconnaissance trips down to Florida. So it's possible. Or some Imagineers came to the Mai-Kai and looked at it before they designed the Polynesian. It's totally feasible.
It looks like if Walt had built this, it wouldn't have surprised me, right? Like if the original Imagineers had put this together, or maybe if the Tiki Room had become a restaurant, right? As it was originally intended, in California, maybe it would have looked like this, but like Disney, right? And so I've only been twice, and I know people know way more than me, but it's something new every time. Like walking around there, I was like, do I make another video? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. And Andrew asks, the Mutiny on the Bounty connection with the Mai-Kai.
Yeah, that's another cinematic connection that kind of happened. I don't know if it was by chance, but it was part of that 1970 project I mentioned. It was several million dollar project, I believe, where they took the props and the decor from Mutiny on the Bounty, which had been put up for auction by MGM. The guys that were working on the Mai-Kai at that point were big time, restaurant designers, and they heard about this Hollywood fire sale. Basically, MGM in the same time frame, they like auctioned off Judy Garland's glass slippers and all this stuff in the MGM was being auctioned off, and among all this was a whole bunch of stuff from Mutiny on the Bounty. So the Mai-Kai bought all of it, and they installed it into the Molokai bar. So it's hard to tell which pieces are from the actual movie and which are models. There's a lot of small ships. You see ships in little cases. I think those were used in the movie at least as props or as scene setters or distance shots or things like that. So there's that, and it was kind of set up cinematically. So you're not in the movie. There's not really theme to Mutiny on the Bounty technically, but it's there. If you know the movie, you go in the Molokai bar, you'll see it. And they even tied it into the new bar. The outside bar has some Mutiny on the Bounty stuff in it too.
Well, here's something, and it's a sad story, but I'm hoping it has a happy ending. So just to solidify this, just dipping my toes in Tiki, my great-grandfather, I'm sorry. When my grandmother passed away, we were clearing out her house, and she had a lot of stuff. If you looked behind this camera, you'd see what a hoarder I am. But my mom threw out these photo albums, and I went in and got them. And one of them is this leather bound, and it's like carved Tiki on the front of it, right? My great-grandfather was stationed at Pago Pago at the time they were filming The Hurricane. And so he has all of his, I have this somewhere in this house and I can't find it. I had it out for a while because I was showing people, and I know I took it to my mother-in-law's house, but I don't know where it is. And I looked the last week really hard when we got back. But in this photo album, he has all these pictures he took of literally like the stereotypical, bare-breasted skirt, Polynesian women, and some Navy stuff because he was on a ship there. but he's got a picture of Samuel Golden, not Metro Golden Mail, but just Samuel Golden casting office, and it's a tiki hut, and they're literally set up a casting office to cast locals in the movie The Hurricane, which in the lore that I've read was also instrumental in kind of kickstarting the tiki culture here. And I've got a piece of that history somewhere in my house. In addition, I don't think it was John Ford who directed it, but an assistant director wrote a letter to my great grandfather. It's in this photo album saying, "I so enjoyed our time in Pago Pago." I mean, it's hand signed on Samuel Golden letterhead. I mean, I've got to find it. I have to tear the house apart to find it.
No, that's awesome. That was a seminal movie. I wish I was cool enough to say my nickname came from that movie, but it didn't.
Well, we're gonna say it does. You can make up anything you want with a nickname.
I had to come up with something because that's one thing about the tiki world. You'll find when you get into it, everybody has a nickname. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people. You'll meet a lot of guys named Trader something or Captain something. You know, I mean, you see this. It's like, and a lot of it's kind of like an homage to like Jungle Cruise too. It has that kind of that whole, mystique about everyone having a name. But I needed a name, and I didn't want to be Trader or something else. So I was working on the newspaper hurricane coverage a lot. I was like, that was my specialties, and we were getting slammed with hurricanes for years. So I chose Hurricane, and it's also a drink that's really good. So it works.
It's a good drink.
I did love a Hurricane, and I bartended for years. I bartended in Key West, and a tropical. It's not a tiki bar, but a tropical bar here. So I've made plenty of Hurricanes, as well as consumed plenty.
We talked about how tiki became big in the mid-century, and then it died off. But how did it come back? That's the big question a lot of people have. They scratch their heads. It's like my father, who's in his 80s and remembers the old days. He goes, "Why are you all of a sudden into Hawaii stuff?" Well, it's not just Hawaii stuff. There's a lot more to it.
Right.
And it started maybe in the 90s and into the 2000s. It was all these also similar things came together, whether it was movies or music, or a lot of it was the cocktails. A lot of it was just a spirit of finding stuff from the past, mid-century appreciation, which sort of got me into it. When I started getting into it, I was like, I remember that as a kid. I remember all these things. And that's what got me back into Disney as an adult, because I never had kids. And my wife and I were going there as adults, but I remembered all this mid-century style, which is a lot of it's the style and the look and the feel of it. Right. Is really cool to me. So that got a lot of people into it. The clothes, the shirts, there's the music, there's, like you were talking about, the arts and the crafts and the creating of things. There's a lot of artists involved in the scene. So you get people from all different angles. They're not all one person. I'll meet people that are, they're big into the cocktails, but they know nothing about the music. I'll meet musicians who are really into the music, know nothing about the cocktails. So
isn't that funny?
But it's also similar to Disney. You get people coming to Disney for different reasons. They're not all into princesses and, whatever, there's something for everybody, I guess, is what the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And I don't know if it's just I forget which gen. I guess I'm Gen X. Is that right? Gen X?
Yes. We're
55. Okay. Because I was looking at your stuff that you sent me to look over, and I was looking at the Slammies. And I don't know how into punk rock you are, but it's so funny because I'm looking at those bands and going, I grew up on Fear and the Dead Kennedys and Circle Jerks. Like, all of these are bands that I listen to. And then you take someone like Adam the Woo, who played some punk, although I would call his 90s kind of pop punk, but still these weird little tendrils of different things that seem to bind these people together. And because Tiki's cool, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, if you look at some of the Tiki videos, or if you put it in your head, I've been listening for the past year or so. We've been playing Exotica in my house almost not stop. I mean, Martin Denny is now my new hero. And every time I post a reel on Instagram, it's a Martin Denny song, and I just love him. And we play that in the car. I play it in the house. I mean, it goes with everything. So the whole vibe is just very... And you're right. And I do real estate for a living, and I've got a lot of people who decorate now in mid-century modern, like just not tiki stuff, but just that whole Dick Van Dyke, low sofa, all of that stuff is super, super popular.
Yeah.
But it's hard. Like, we go to this tiki restaurant near us called the Tiki, and it's a great restaurant, low lights. They did a great job. And you look around, everybody's just kind of cool. You know, the music's cool. There's birds chirping. The food is good. I mean, everything about this culture, you know, and like Spike, who, if you don't know Spike's Cocktail Breezeway, I really love him. And he has tons of Disney stuff on. Like he did a tour of someone's home. I forget where they were, that literally did like a Disney Polynesian themed tiki bar that's really out of this world. He does photo shoots with like pinup girls, you know, which fits right into the tiki style. I mean, it's so multifaceted. You know, again, you're right, like Disney.
Yeah, he has a rockabilly band, which is kind of an offshoot of punk, and there's a lot of offshoots of punk and other styles from the 70s and 80s that kind of gravitated toward tiki. I know a lot of musicians and a lot of older people from the, you know, Gen X and beyond that were these, you know, hardcore musicians or guys with tattoos all over themselves, and now they're just these old guys sitting around a tiki bar.
Right. And it's perfect, and it fits in perfect. Yeah, Spike has a neat channel, and I've learned a lot following him down the rabbit hole. And when he went to the Mai-Kai last year, I mean, I think he did like 6 videos in a row about the Mai-Kai. I mean, if that tells you anything about, because we like to get, I was just telling Andrew, I was planning a little vacation for him and his wife. He's in Charleston. So I'm like, you drive down. We stayed last year at the Beachcomber. And there's a great Friends of the Mai-Kai Facebook group. It's awesome and very welcoming, and you can go in there. And so I asked, like, where do I stay? And that seemed to be like the general consensus to get the theme for my first trip, because they have a nice tiki bar outside and a nice pool and right on the beach. And they've just done a really nice renovation there. It was a great hotel. And so we stayed there, and then, you know, got dressed and took a shower and made our way down to the Mai-Kai. And I like to get there in the daylight and leave after dark because, you know, like Disney Hollywood, right? Disney Hollywood is different. Well, all of Disney's different after dark, right? And so getting there in the light and seeing those gardens, and then seeing them with, you know, only lit because they're lit so beautifully afterwards, and getting that iconic picture of the Mai-Kai sign, you know, from the gardens. It's just awesome.
You almost have to do more than one day. It's sort of like
that's
Disney
my plan. Yeah, go for like a long weekend.
Do you want to just run through my list now? Let's do it.
So he's get too deep way more prepared than I am. I can tell you that much.
But owing to my Disney experience, my wife and I go 3-4 times a year. So I've been going to Disney a lot. We could do a whole podcast on my favorite bars at Disney or my favorite whatever else at Disney. And
sounds good.
There's a lot of cool tiki bars in Orlando too. I don't want to ignore that, but the Orlando scene is great. But I love how there's this connection, and you've noticed it too. I think because of your Disney, you appreciate the Mai-Kai on a different level. So I made this list of 12 ways the Mai-Kai is similar to Disney World. So the first one is that just the history of it. We've talked about it. It's been open for 70 years. It has that rich history. It's almost as old as Disneyland, and a lot of the original stuff is still there. And that's sort of like the Disney parks. The second is the big one, the immersiveness and the cinematic theming, which also we've talked about how it's basically an Imagineered restaurant, and the bars are themed to a movie, and there's so many authentic artifacts too. We didn't mention that. There's inside the restaurant, there's authentic artifacts like Disney has, but there's also replicas. So you don't know what's authentic and what's a replica. The Thornton brothers actually traveled throughout the South Pacific and brought back all these artifacts that became so priceless, they couldn't keep them in the restaurant. They couldn't insure them. So they ended up in museums. They're like museum pieces. Oh. But before they donated them, they made copies and replicas. So the replicas are still in the Mai-Kai, and the actual pieces are in the museums. So you have that that's kind of similar. And what happened after the closure and during the renovations, they brought in Imagineers, literally. Typhoon Tommy Alsmeller, who worked for Universal Creative, did work for Disney. He was brought in as the artistic director. They hired Perry Becker Design to design all the landscaping, and they've worked on everything at Disney, from the Polynesian to Animal Kingdom Lodge to the Animal Kingdom theme park. They're like great landscape architects. They created that caldera, and they also brought in another company called Costa of Wisconsin, who designs theme park structures as well. So all this Imagineering went into it.
How old are those 2 trees out by the new bar? Those 2 banyan trees. How old are those?
Banyans, well, definitely predate the Mai-Kai. They could be over 100 years old for sure.
They're unbelievable.
Wow. That's
Right.
crazy.
And they're like the centerpiece now. That was sort of the plan from the beginning. We want to make these trees, give them a spotlight. The way it used to be, where the bar is now, that was the driveway. You would drive straight in back in the 60s and 70s, and the new Imagineered plan, creates this new immersive space where you cross that bridge, and the pavement looks like it's a dirt road, and there's a lot of theming there. There's
it feels very much like the same trick, like going from the hub into Adventureland or Adventureland into Frontierland. Like there is a transportive feature that you can't see. You couldn't pinpoint exactly. You can talk about the different pieces that put it together, but as a whole, it's just and you're gone.
And you have to look down and look at the pavement. The pavement is themed as well. There's Polynesian symbols literally in the pavement around the circle around the caldera. And as you walk up, you're supposed to be walking up onto a beach. And then from the beach, you enter the restaurant. So there's a lot of backstory that went into it. So that's number 2. We could do that all day.
Yeah, I know.
Number 3 is the hospitality and the spirit of aloha. The staff there is very friendly. They're trained to say aloha to everybody, to greet you like a friend. And it's very similar to the Disney, the way Disney treats their guests.
And who's the young lady they just brought back who used to dance in the show?
She goes by the name Malaya.
Yes.
As part of the Mai-Kai team. That was her name when she was in the show. She went on to fame as Marina the Fire-Eating Mermaid. So if you look her up, she brought back the whole mid-century style of swimming underwater as a mermaid. So that's a whole other offshoot of Tiki. That's really cool.
I mean, she basically sat down at our table and talked to us for 20 minutes. She was just she's the one that came and got me because we were inside the Molokai bar and then they started doing the dancing outside and she's like, come take a look. Come check this out. So cool.
Yeah. A lot of the staff have been there for many years. Plus there's children of former employees. There's grandchildren of performers performing on stage. And it's also like Disney. It's a mix of hospitality workers and performers. So just like you have at Disney World where you have, the performers and then you have the frontline cast members. So that's number 3. Number 4, I have a multi-generational fan base, and you touched on it. It's fun for kids. It's grandparents can bring their kids and their grandkids, all have a good time on different levels. You also have a mix of tourists and Tiki lifestyle people, sort of like Disney and Disney lifestyle people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have these longtime fans, which I love, at Disney and the Mai-Kai. The only way to please a longtime fan is not change anything. Leave it the same. If you change something, the old timers are going to get all upset about it. So, the same thing happens with the Mai-Kai. They can't get over the fact that they did not bring back the old ovens, the old Chinese ovens that were
like at Trader Vic's.
Yeah, exactly. So the Chinese ovens are sort of like, I don't know, the comparison to Disney. But there are plans to bring those same bricks back. They're going to use the same bricks and create a new oven so people can, settle down a little bit. It's going to happen. Number 5 on my list is the show and the pre-show. So they've had this Polynesian show since '62, and it's just continuing and continuing. And it's the oldest now in the world, and it has that same style that you get at a Disney show. There aren't many left. There's, I guess, Hoop-Dee-Doo is the last one left. Spirit of Aloha is gone, sadly.
Yeah.
So
now, did you see Spirit of Aloha? Did you go see that?
I did not. I wish I did. I didn't know it was going to be going away as fast as it did. So I wish I could have gone.
And it was awesome.
One time. It was good.
Yeah.
I would just like to see if it was how Disneyified it was compared to the show at the Mai-Kai. Because again, you could be fooling me because I don't know enough about the culture at this point yet, right? To know. But I mean, it seemed pretty authentic and certainly very reverential of the culture when we did the show.
From what I understand, the dancers themselves and the dances they were doing and the songs, and most of it was very authentic, and they brought authentic people. But the show writers wrote a Disney story made it a Disney story,
right,
as opposed to a strictly a Polynesian story. I think that's the main difference. I mean, I heard people say, oh, they used to wear sneakers on stage, so that wasn't authentic. At the Mai-Kai, they would have bare feet, but Disney probably had insurance regulations where they had to wear sneakers on stage or whatever. But it was a fun show. I just wish it stuck around.
Yeah.
And then they have pre-shows too. The Mai-Kai now has, whether it's the Polynesian dancers out in the Bora Bora bar area, or they do a lot of things now as you're being seated. They'll have musicians playing drums. You'll hear things. You'll see things. They'll have a guy that comes around and serenades, and you'll hear a lot of kind of pre-show setting the stage for the show, which is another thing that you kind of get at Disney. It's the same kind of idea. Number 6 on my list is, and we've touched on it already, please exit through the gift shop.
Yeah.
You got to have a gift shop. Love it or hate it, but you love the Mai-Kai gift shop, and there's a lot to appreciate there. And number
really
8,
and you can get real leis, real flower leis for $35.
Oh, yeah.
And they're beautiful. And I don't think that's very expensive, frankly. I'll touch on that. Maybe I shouldn't say this. My wife says I say stuff like this and then it changes. I don't think the cost of an evening there is exorbitant. Like, I think it's very fair, right? I mean, I was telling Andrew, I think before you got here, how good the food was. Like, I had this suckling pig confit, and it was out of this world. Last year I had fish. It was okay, but still not bad, just not out of this knocked my socks off. It was really, really good. And to have 5 people there, a couple of cocktails, a mocktail for me, dessert, a show, and dinner. I mean, it's a very reasonable night out for what you get.
And I would also recommend people hit happy hour if they're drinking, or even if they're not drinking. There's happy hour food now from 4 to 7 p.m. You can get $10 appetizers and drinks that are half priced, and cut your expenses a little bit that way.
Yeah.
And it's not exorbitant. You're right, exactly. Number 6 on my that was number 6. Number 7 on my list. You can't see it all in one day, which we just discussed. You gotta plan it. It's almost like you have to have a touring plan to go to the Mai-Kai and figure out what you're doing. And it's massive. There's 2.7 acres. There's a lot to see and a lot to do. You could spend one day there to do the show, another day to sit in the back outside, another day to watch the band in the bar. There's multiple things. I mean, you don't necessarily want to spend 8 hours at the Mai-Kai all in one day. I do know people who do that, but if you can spread it out over multiple days, that's great. Number 8, it never closes. Just like Disney World, 365 days a year, you can count on the Mai-Kai being open. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, every day. They've only closed once since they reopened, and it was for a staff retreat. The owner treated the staff. He actually took them to Orlando for a retreat to give everybody one day off. So.
Oh, wow.
Number 9, it's meticulously well kept, and that's something you don't really appreciate until you spend a lot of time at Disney and notice where's all the trash, and you get that same kind of feeling at the Mai-Kai. Where are all the dirty things?
It's true.
They clean everything.
It's one of those places, like when I went in the restroom, I picked up a paper towel off the floor. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those places like Disney where once you're inside of it, you want to keep it nice. Like, you want to help.
They have a full-time maintenance crew and a ground crew that keeps the grounds. I've been there early before they open, and there's guys doing everything to keep the grounds looking perfect. And they got to maintain those torches and waterfalls, and all that stuff's always working, as opposed to maybe at Disney, sometimes things aren't working and we notice, but same thing at the Mai-Kai. I might notice, hey, that torch is not lit, but they try to do their best. Let's see, that's number 9. Number 10 is the music. It's everywhere. There's a mood. The music creates a mood, whether it's the background loops or the bands or the performances on stage. Each room, I don't know if every room has its own background music, but like Disney, there's different background loops in different places. Like in the front bar or the back room or the main room, you'll hear different Polynesian style music. And number 11, it's educational and entertaining. So like Epcot and other areas of Disney, you get some culture and a little bit of education while you're having a good time. There are special events, and they had the Tahitian culture events last month. This month they're having what they're calling Return to Paradise, and it's talking about like the heyday of Tiki in the mid-century, what we just discussed. So this month there's a whole lot of stuff going on related to the mid-century culture of Tiki, and I'm doing a talk this Sunday, and I'm doing another talk on the 23rd about different topics, and there's a cocktail seminar, and there's a Tiki carving seminar, and all kinds of stuff you can learn while you're there.
How cool is that?
There's that. Number 11. Oh, that was 11. It's entertaining and educational. Last but not least, number 12. It has massive holiday overlays now. Last year, they did a whole month-long Halloween celebration where they decorated the entire bar with pirates and mermaids and skeletons, and they do the same thing at Christmas. Christmas lights everywhere. It's sort of
Oh
takes on a
wow.
whole new vibe. Just like going to Disney on those holidays, you make a special trip to the Mai-Kai during Halloween and Christmas, which I don't know if you can do that, but I would recommend it. So there you go. That's 12. There's probably more, but I mean, I could think of more, but
I mean, it is. It's just. It's built for Disney fans. I mean, it's just.
right.
I'm blown away. And what was cool, it's the kind of thing, I guess, like Disney, that you want to share, right? Like so Ken Bruce, I know he went and loved it, fell in love. After I met him and we talked. And then this time, and I begged and begged and begged my mother-in-law, who's 80 something, and her boyfriend, who's also 80 something, they flew from Virginia to West Palm, and we picked them up, got a hotel just to bring them to the Mai-Kai, like made them stop halfway on their trip to Key West. And then we drove the rest of the way down together because I just want to give it to somebody. It's such an amazing place. I want everybody to have it.
And that's sort of what took over my blog. That's why it took over my blog pretty much. I write 9 out of 10 stories I write are about the Mai-Kai now, but I think it's for a good purpose because I'm like spreading the gospel. And now that they're reopened, I want to see them succeed and continue to succeed. And I can be neutral. I'm not an employee. They don't pay me for anything. I don't get a free tab or anything, but I'm in tight with them, but I call myself an embedded journalist. I'm
right.
Sort of like one of those guys. But I'm there. There's Jim. They tell me when I can take photos and when I'm not supposed to take photos and that kind of thing.
But it's cool because and like so last year when I was watching all the videos of it opening before I went, it seemed like they really invite everyone. Like Andrew Prince, my buddy, he went down last year, and I'd like to think that I had something to do with that because I was telling him how great it was. And I think that, the manager gave him a private tour. Yeah, here you go. When they went last November, the manager took them around. Like they do stuff all the time. Like everyone's, there. It is that Disney difference, right? It's that level of service that you don't find in most places.
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with Tiki, right? Kyle says we need to do an Orlando Tiki crawl. So I may call on you, Jim, for some expert advice there for that.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, there's permanent vacation I would recommend in the Orlando area. If you're like Disney and you like Trader Sam's, there's a Trader Sam's bartender who works there, Diz.
Oh.
He has a YouTube channel, I believe. And some other folks that used to bartend at Disney are there. There's also Aku Aku in Orlando that's been around for quite a while. There's a new bar being built by the same guy who rebuilt the Mai-Kai called Suffering Bastard. It was over in Sanford, and they're rebuilding it in Orlando. That'll be open next year. So, and there might be a few others that I'm not thinking of right now. There's a big event every year called Tiki Go that happens in Orlando, and I've done some presentations there. And
I saw
they bring in a lot of Disney people as well as Tiki people. So.
Have you gone out to the West Coast and done like West Palm and all those places?
Definitely. Well, I've gone to California for two or three times to Tiki Oasis, which is happening as we speak this weekend. It's the biggest Tiki event in the world. It started in 2001 or 2000, and it's thousands and thousands of people go out there. So it's sort of like the Mecca for Tiki fans, sort of like the the D23 Expo. Kind of everyone just congregates at Tiki Oasis. But there's smaller events too. We have one here called Hukilau that happens every June. And you were at the Beachcomber Resort. That's where they have the Hukilau.
Right.
So we stay at the Hukilau. We go to the Mai-Kai 2 or 3 or 4 times during the event, and there's activities at the hotel. It's all. I mean, some of these events are not cheap. It's more like the next level if you're really into it,
right?
And you want to spring for these events, but it's like going on vacation. I mean, it is a vacation. So.
We used to have a Woody car club here in town. We didn't have a big Tiki culture in Charleston, but we had this one car club that had about like 30 cars in. They're all Woodies, and that's where I kind of picked up on it. Was they played a lot of the old 50s instrumental beach music, tiki stuff, and they would have an event every July, right around 4th of July. They had a big tiki event down at Folly Beach. They haven't done it in a few years. I don't know if they split up the car club or what, but that was something I looked forward to every year. Was there wasn't like a tiki woody car show? That was about the only thing we had here in Charleston as far as tiki.
We have a car club in South Florida that does events at the Mai-Kai. They bring all their cars and drive them down that driveway and around the volcano and
awesome.
Set up all their cars. And you see like these 40s, 50s, 60s cars. It's really cool. And the Mai-Kai even set aside some parking, free parking, if you drive a 1979 or earlier car, and it's a classic, you can park it in this free parking spot right in front.
Cool.
So,
and we were out in I'll just for you, Andrew. I don't know if I've told you my oldest kid had an internship at Pixar last summer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I mentioned it a lot. That's where I'm being funny. But on my list, she was in Emeryville, so we went to Trader Vic's in Emeryville, which was really cool. But it's not the oasis the Mai-Kai is. Like, and I know there's lots of storied history there, so I was very respectful, and it was awesome. And there was a lot of cool. Like, I'm learning what Whitco is. You know, all these names that pop up over and over and over again in this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't claim to know everything either. You call me a historian. I don't really consider myself a historian. I'm a journalist by trade, so I'm curious. I research and do my research and try to figure out and write about it. But beyond that, I haven't written any books yet. But there is a book on the Mai-Kai called Mai-Kai, History and Mystery of the Iconic Tiki Restaurant. My friend Tim Swanky Glasner wrote it. You can pick that up at maikaihistory.com. So there is Mai-Kai even has its own history book.
That's wild.
We're getting ready to redo our back porch. My wife was like, "You want to theme it?" And I was like, "Tiki bar, please."
Yeah.
So we're going to start looking for tiki stuff to redo our back porch. So
there's no shortage of resources online. Just search, you'll find people. There's groups on Facebook where they're dedicated to building tiki bars. So everyone shares their information.
And I saw it today because it made me think about getting in the car. So I'm at the point in my life though where I'm trying to get rid of stuff, right? Like at some point in time, my wife and I are going to leave Virginia and move to Florida, which is where we want to end up, but it's uncertain as to when. And I'm not a terribly materialistic guy, but the things I buy are treasures to me, right? Like I buy things I want to keep forever. So thinning things out is very difficult. But there's a Whitco bar at a antique shop in Asheville. I saw it today, and I'm like, well, it's only 6 hours. I could run and pick that up, and because it's like, and I mean, it's like I can't remember. It was like, let's call it $2,000, but it's unbelievable. It's just gorgeous,
Yeah, you can't. They stopped making that stuff 50 years ago. So there are the daughter, the granddaughter, or is it the daughter and her husband are continuing the Whitco name and doing great work, doing great replicas. But if you have an original Whitco from, 30, 40, 50 years ago,
and it wasn't expensive stuff, right? It was like catalog stuff, right? When it first came out.
Yeah, it got a bad name as just being kitschy. People they didn't want kitschy stuff. I mean, I don't know if you know this at Graceland, Elvis's Jungle Room that's all Whitco. All that crazy stuff in the Jungle Room at Graceland is with the animal prints and.
So it's wild. So all this stuff, and that's where you start learning the rules. Like nautical things only have a place in some tiki bars. Like there are some purists who are very, very serious. Yeah. I'm with you. I like it all kind of put together. I think it meshes well.
As long as there's a coherent theme,
right? Just
stay. Do it smart. Do it creatively, and be in theme. That's all you need to do. You don't just throw a bunch of stuff together with no thought.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I could see myself, like we were in Key West and there was a mask, and it might have been more African than Borneo or whatever, something. But I was like, do I buy this now? Because this would look good on the wall, but no, I don't think so.
I have some African stuff in here, not right behind me, but my wife and I love Animal Kingdom Lodge. We go there a lot. We buy stuff there, and it's here.
The cool thing is that, and I'm going to say this because I include myself here, the people that I've been following, and looking at are nerdy, right? Like it's a bunch of us nerds who are leading the charge here, and so nerds do really well at keeping things alive, right, and recreating them almost to annoying detail. And I saw that Justin Scared, I don't know which one it is. Scarred. He had bought some of the original molds from some stuff. And I know he's carving tikis out west as well, but he bought, I guess, Disneyland at one time, and I can't remember the guy's name, had these skulls that they sold in Adventureland, and they were made from molds from someone who, and it just popped in my head. And so he went and they're auctioning this stuff off, and he went to the auction and got the molds and going to make these tiki skulls again, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can call ourselves nerd and say we're obsessive, but we're also keeping things alive. That
yes,
absolutely.
Randati,
some of the predecessors, like the guys who came before me in the tiki scene, that's what got them into it. They weren't trying to turn this into a big deal. They just wanted to preserve what they could and not see it die off and go away.
I mean, so look, this is exactly to illustrate the point. Hamotiki. Aloha, gents, just tuning in. Went to the Mai-Kai in 2019 for the first time before my first visit to Walt Disney. Like it's interesting how it goes hand in hand, which is nice because sometimes I need co-signing. I feel like I'm alone, a lot of times because my friends are not into this stuff, right? Like not the friends that I live with here in Virginia. They're not anti stuff either.
Yeah.
And Randati was just like two names put together, right? It sounds exotic and tropical. But I feel like I was going to try to bring that up earlier and I couldn't remember it. But I feel like it was Rand and Dottie or something.
I think I know Hamo, if that's the same Hamo that I know, who's in
Probably
the chat. So. Aloha.
Yeah, founders Randy and Dottie. So Randati, which sounds like something, the Randati. Oh, yes. No, just Randy and Dottie.
So I like I said, I don't know. I've been learning about the Mai-Kai. How did they come up with the name Mai-Kai? Does it mean something?
Yes, it means the best in Tahitian.
Ah, okay. Perfect name.
Yep.
And they're so right. They're so absolutely right. All right, I could go on forever. I do try to keep it to an hour. I think what we'll have to do is have you back, Hurricane. But
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming because this is something that is slowly, and I'm really worried it's going to become a passion of mine. And I have your email, so I will definitely hit you up to help us with our, because Kyle wanted to do an Orlando Tiki crawl, and I'm all in. I think it's a great idea.
I'm all in.
Maybe we can organize it. We should do like a Tiki meetup for all of us.
And also, people may not know this. If you're flying into Orlando just for Disney, you can take the Bright Line south.
That's what we thought about doing. Yeah, take the Bright Line.
Couple 3 hours. You're in Fort Lauderdale, and I know people who live in Orlando and do that. They don't bother driving. They just take the Bright Line down to the Mai-Kai and take the Bright Line back. You just have to be careful you don't miss the last train. But.
He says, "Yes, it will, Tater. Just accept it." That's kind of where I'm going to. I think it has. I mean, look, the cool thing about the internet is there's so much out there, and I've said this before. I love the internet. I would have never met you, Hurricane, without it, right? And I don't know. I've drawn so much positivity into my life doing this, and. Look, Disney folks can be mean if you find the right ones, right? I'm sure there's mean tiki people somewhere, but I seem to have been very lucky in getting people in my orbit that are amazing. And one of those things that I do is rather than watch car crash videos, which I've done, right? I've watched some police body cam videos. I'm not immune to those. But, while I'm doing paperwork or something, I can throw on these Tiki videos and learn something as I'm going. And that's the only problem is I am kind of listening out of the side of my ear instead of really focusing on it. But you can you could watch videos from sun up to sundown on every single thing, whether you want to collect it, whether you want to make it. I mean, there's no gatekeeping, right? Everyone is giving this stuff away. So it's just another cool group of people that are doing cool stuff and are being nice about it. It's very warm and welcoming kind of spot.
Yeah, it is. It's like a warm hug. You feel the warmth in the room usually when you're there. The Mai-Kai and other places.
And this is what I love. So Christopher, he's a teacher, and then he works. And Chris, I promise I'm going to get over to the monorail at some point. We tried to go meet him. He works on the monorail, which also one of my passions and dream jobs. But he said he grew up in Lauderdale and had a babysitter. It's because his parents were taking someone to the Mai-Kai.
Right.
And he didn't get to go until later.
Mean parents.
But that's what you get with 70 years of tradition, right? You know, I do think we throw away things too quickly in this world. You know, I like change. I really do. And I mean, the Mai-Kai is a good example. I know it's not the way it was when it originally opened, you know, when it was the highest grossing restaurant, but what they've done, again, as a beginner, seems like they really plussed it completely, you know. It'd be hard to be angry at this renovation. And just drawing new people in.
Some things were just done right the first time. There's no need to change it. It's perfect. You can plus it up, but you don't have to change it.
Yep.
Well, cool. Jim, remind everybody again where they can find you.
The Atomic Grog is my blog, atomicgrog.com. And if you go there, there's links to my Facebook, my Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. All that stuff is right there, Atomic Grog.
Yeah, and you should really follow along because we've only scratched the surface of his knowledge tonight.
Once we get off this, I'm not going to have another rum barrel. I'm going to go upstairs and finish my story. I'm working on a story that I'll hopefully post in the next day or two. All the latest news, everything that's coming up at the Mai-Kai. So I'm on it.
Follow him because he's kind of a celebrity to me. So I was very, very excited when he agreed to come on tonight. It really made me happy. Makes me feel like I'm doing something right for him to donate his time to us because it's awesome and we love learning about it. So we'll definitely have to have you back. For sure.
Well, thank you. Appreciate what you're doing too.
Andrew's got a new video out. Go check that out on Mouse Gears. And then please go over to YouTube or on Facebook. I'm going to upload it there too and check out. I tried to keep it short. It's hard for me. I had to cut a lot out, but it's a 20-minute video and it's a good way to dip your toes in the waters of the Mai-Kai. Lily John, thank you so much for coming by. I thank you because without anybody watching or chatting or talking, it would just be me and Andrew sitting here staring off into space from the sun. So Andrew, thanks. Caleb, appreciate it. Karen, as always. And Tiki, let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what I can and do some more. And Hurricane, thanks so much for coming by. We'll see you guys next week.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
My pleasure.